Deputy Sheriff Jeff Hopkins, end of watch Wednesday, April 1st, 2020. Deputy Sheriff Jeff Hopkins died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty at the El Paso County Criminal Justice Center. He was serving at the jail's intake when he had a confirmed exposure to other employees who were symptomatic and later confirmed to have COVID-19. Deputy Hopkins had served with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office for 20 years. He is survived by his wife and parents. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Deputy Sheriff Terell Young, Riverside County Sheriff's Department, California. End of watch Thursday, April 2nd, 2020. Deputy Sheriff Terell Young died after contracting COVID-19 from an infected inmate at the Byrd Detention Center. Deputy Young has served with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department for 15 years. He is survived by his wife and 4 children. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Police Officer Marco DiFranco, Chicago Police Department, Illinois. End of watch Thursday, April 2nd, 2020. Police Officer Marco DiFranco died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Officer DiFranco had served with the Chicago Police Department for 21 years. He is survived by his wife, 2 children, and a brother, and who also serves with the agency. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to the requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Deputy Sheriff Shannon Bennett, Broward County Sheriff's Office, Florida. End of watch Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Deputy Sheriff Shannon Bennett died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Deputy Bennett had served with the Broward County Sheriff's Office for 12 years and served as an SRO at Deerfield Beach Elementary School. He is survived by his fiancée, mother, and brother. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Corrections Officer 4, Kelvin D. Wilcher, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Texas, end of watch Monday, April 6, 2020. Corrections Officer 4, Kelvin Wilcher, died of contracting COVID-19 while on duty at the Estelle Unit. Officer Wilcher was a United States Navy veteran and had served with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 1 year. He is survived by his wife and 2 children. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19. Age 49, tour 1 year.
Officer Breann, Leath, Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, Indiana. End of watch Thursday, April 9, 2020. Officer Breann Leath was shot and killed while responding to a domestic disturbance call at 603 Edinburgh Square shortly before 3 p.m. A subject inside opened fire through an apartment closed front, striking Officer Leath and female resident of the apartment who was standing in the outside hallway. Both were taken to local hospital where Officer Leath succumbed to her wounds. The subject was taken into custody and subsequently charged with murder and attempted murder. Officer Leath was a veteran of the National Guard and had served with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department for 3 years. She is survived by her 3-year-old son, her parents, who both serve in the Marion County Sheriff's Office, and 2 sisters who have worked in corrections. The Indiana Women's Prisons Nursery was renamed the Officer Breath Leanne Maternal and Child Health Unit by Indiana's governor 2 weeks after her death.
Sergeant Clifford W. Martin, Sr., Chicago Police Department, Illinois, end of watch Friday, April 10th, 2020. Sergeant Clifford Martin died as the result of contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Sergeant Martin had served with the Chicago Police Department for 25 years and was assigned to Unit 610, Bureau of Detectives, Area Central. He is survived by his wife and 3 children. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Chief of Police Robert William Sealock, Aliquippa City Police Department, Pennsylvania. End of watch Saturday, April 11, 2020. Chief of Police Robert Sealock died from complications of a major asthma attack following a foot pursuit on March 26, 2020. He had joined other officers who were involved in a foot pursuit of a wanted subject. Shortly after arriving back to the police station, he suffered a severe asthma attack. He was unable to catch his breath and collapsed after his emergency inhaler was ineffective. A fellow officer immediately radioed for help and he was transported to a local hospital. He remained under intensive care until passing away on April 11, 2020. Chief Sealock was a U.S. Navy veteran and served with the Aliquippa Police Department for 23 years. He was scheduled to retire later in the year.
And Chief of Police Terry Engle, Hampton Police Department, Illinois. His end of watch was Saturday, April 11, 2020. Chief of Police Terry Engle was killed in a single vehicle crash while responding to a 911 call at 6:45 p.m. He was traveling on the northbound of Illinois Route 84 when his vehicle left the roadway and struck a tree at 180th Street North. Chief Engle had served with the Hampton Police Department for more than 2 years after having served with the Black Hawk College Police Department for 35 years.
Deputy Sheriff Jeremy Ladue, Charleston County Sheriff's Office, South Carolina. End of watch Monday, April 13, 2020. Deputy Sheriff Jeremy Ladue was killed in a vehicle crash near the intersection of Savannah Highway and Dobbin Road at approximately 1:40 a.m. He was on patrol when another vehicle collided with his patrol car. Deputy Ladue, who was not wearing a seatbelt, suffered fatal injuries. The other driver was also killed in the crash. Deputy Ladue had served with the Charleston County Sheriff's Office for 14 months. He is survived by his parents and his sister. Age 29, tour 1 year, 2 months.
Police Officer Jose Fontanez, Boston Police Department, Massachusetts. End of watch is Tuesday, April 14, 2020. Police Officer Jose Fontanez died as a result of contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Officer Fontanez had served with the Boston Police Department for 29 years and he was assigned to District E13, Jamaica Plain. He is survived by his wife, 4 children, and 1 grandchild. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to the requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Okay, Sergeant Joseph Spinosa, Sands Point Police Department, New York. End of watch, Wednesday, April 15, 2020. Sergeant Joseph Spinosa died as a result of contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Sergeant Spinosa has served with the Sands Point Police Department for 19 years. He is survived by his mother. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Detective Alex Ruperto, Union City Police Department, New Jersey. End of watch Thursday, April 16, 2020. Detective Alex Ruperto died after contracting COVID-19 while performing patrol duties. Detective Ruperto had served with the Union City Police Department for 21 years. He's survived by his 2 adult children. Early in 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic. Due to the requirements of their job, many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Police Officer Ronald Newman, Chicago Police Department, Illinois. End of watch Friday, April 17th, 2020. Police Officer Ronald Newman died as a result of contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Officer Newman had served with the Chicago Police Department for 19 years and was assigned to the 4th District. He is survived by his wife and 2 children. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Corrections Officer Coy D. Coffman Jr., Texas Department of Criminal Justice, end of watch, Friday, April 17, 2020. Corrections Officer Coy Coffman died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty at the Telford Unit in New Boston, Texas. Officer Coffman was a U.S. Army veteran and had served with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 9 years. He is survived by his wife and 1 child. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to the requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19. Age 65, tour 9 years.
Police Officer Justin Putnam, San Marcos Police Department, Texas, end of watch, Saturday, April 18, 2020. Police Officer Justin Putnam was shot and killed when he and other officers responded to a domestic assault incident at an apartment complex in the 2900 block of Hunter Road at about 7 p.m. As the officers entered the apartment, they were ambushed by a male subject with a rifle. Officer Putnam was killed and 2 other officers were critically wounded. The subject committed suicide after shooting the officers. Officer Putnam has served with the San Marcos Police Department for 5.5 years.
Police Officer Christopher Ewing was killed when his patrol car collided with a drunk driver at the intersection of South Cobb Drive and Oak Drive at about 11 p.m. The collision occurred when the other driver turned left in front of Officer Ewing's patrol car. The drunk driver was arrested and charged with homicide by vehicle, driving under the influence, and tampering with evidence. Officer Ewing was a U.S. Air Force Reserve veteran. He had served with the Smyrna Police Department for 2 years and had recently applied to be a part of the agency's DUI task force. He is survived by his wife and 3 children. He was 34 years old, tour of duty 2 years, badge 1392. Jose Fontes. Police Officer Fontes died as a result of contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Officer Fontes had served with the Boston Police Department for 29 years and was assigned to the District E13 Jamaica Plain. He was survived by his wife, 4 children, and 1 grandchild. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the widespread pandemic. Due to requirements of their job, many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19. His age, 53, tour of duty, 29 years, badge number 10711.
Probation and Parole Agent Kaitlin Marie Cowley, Louisiana Department of Public Safety and Corrections, Louisiana Probation and Parole, Louisiana. End of watch, Monday, April 20th, 2020. Probation and Parole Agent Kaitlin Cowley was killed in a vehicle crash at I-12 and Millerville Road interchange at Baton Rouge at about 6:30 p.m. The crash occurred after she left an assignment assisting the Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women with inmate security at the Our Lady of Lake Hospital. Her vehicle was on the roadway and struck a tree, causing her to suffer fatal injuries. Agent Cowley had served with the Louisiana Department of Corrections for 3 years and had previously served with the New Jersey Juvenile Justice Commission for 2 years. She is survived by her husband, parents, and brother.
Warden Wilmot Sandlin Sandy McCain, Louisiana Department of Corrections, Louisiana, end of watch, April 20th, 2020. Warden Sandy McCain died after contracting COVID-19 through a confirmed exposure while on duty at the Raymond Laborde Correctional Center. Warden McCain had served with the Louisiana Department of Corrections for 24 years. He is survived by his wife, 2 sons, and several grandchildren. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to the requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Corporal Lawrence Onley died after having a confirmed exposure to a COVID-19 patient while on duty. Corporal Onley had served with the Naval District, Washington Police Department for 23 years and was assigned to the Naval Research Lab. He is survived by his daughter and fiance. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contacted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Corrections Officer 5, Jonathon Keith Goodman, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Texas. End of watch, Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. Corrections Officer Jonathon Goodman died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty at the William P. Clements Unit in Amarillo, Texas. Officer Goodman had served with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 11 years. He is survived by his wife and 2 children. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to the requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19. He was 52 years old, and he has served 11 years.
Police Officer Dan Walters, San Diego Police Department, California. End of watch, Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Police Officer Dan Walters has succumbed to complications of a gunshot wound sustained on November the 12th, 2003. He and his partner were backing up another officer on 43rd Street near Gamma Street after the officer stopped to investigate a vehicle parked in the travel lanes with a subject standing nearby. The man immediately pointed a gun at the officer, causing him to seek cover. Officer Walters and his partner immediately confronted the man, who attacked Officer Walters. The man placed his .357 handgun against Officer Walters' neck and shot him, causing him to fall into the roadway. The man was then shot and killed by Officer Walters' partner. A passing vehicle inadvertently struck Officer Walters, causing additional injuries. He was transported to a local hospital where it was determined that he had become paralyzed from the neck down. It was later determined that the man who shot Officer Walters was involved in a violent domestic incident when the first officer encountered him. Officer Walters remained paralyzed and died from complications from his original injuries on April 23rd, 2020. Officer Walters had served with the San Diego Police Department for 5 years at the time he was shot. Before serving with the San Diego Police Department, Officer Walters was drafted by the Houston Astros and then played 2 seasons of Major League Baseball with the San Diego Padres. Officer Walters was age 53 and had a tour of 5 years.
Agent Miguel Martinez Ortiz, Puerto Rico Police Department, Puerto Rico. End of watch, Friday, April 24th, 2020. Agent Miguel Martinez Ortiz died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Agent Martinez Ortiz had served with the Puerto Rico Police Department for 28 years and was assigned to the Federal Homeland Security Investigations Task Force. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Patrolman Gary Walker, Bloomingdale Police Department, New Jersey. End of watch, Friday, April 14th, 2020. Patrolman Gary Walker died as a result of contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Patrolman Walker has served with the Bloomingdale Police Department for 20 years. He is survived by his wife and 1 child. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19.
Deputy Sheriff John Andrew Roden, Bell County Sheriff's Office, Texas. End of watch, Sunday, April 22nd, 2020. Deputy Sheriff John Roden was struck and killed by a vehicle while attempting to deploy spike strips during a vehicle's pursuit of a stolen car. The pursuit had started in Williamson County and proceeded into Bell County along I-35 at about 1:40 a.m. Deputy Roden was preparing to deploy the spike strips near exit 294 when he was struck by a tractor trailer. Deputy Roden has served with the Bell County Sheriff's Office for 10 years.
Lieutenant Glendale Udo Jr. Lieutenant Glendale was shot and killed as he and other officers attempted to locate a murder suspect at a home on Conrad Drive at about 12:30 p.m. The subject had been involved in domestic violence-related homicide at a home 6 miles away from 3 hours earlier. Officers received a tip that the suspect was hiding in a home on Conrad Drive. Lieutenant Hutto and other officers responded to the home to contact the subject. As Lieutenant Hutto and a second officer positioned themselves in the backyard prior to making contact, the man opened fire on them with a semi-automatic rifle, striking both officers. The man then shot Lieutenant Hutto several more times at close range as he lay on the ground. Lieutenant Hutto succumbed to his wounds, and at the scene, he succumbed to his wounds. The second officer was gravely wounded and transported to a local hospital. The man retreated into the home where he remained barricaded for 4 hours before surrendering. He was charged with capital murder. He had previously made statements to a relative that he would ambush Baton Rouge officers in an attempt to mimic the suspect who ambushed and murdered Corporal Montrell Jackson, Police Officer Matthew Gerald, and Deputy Sheriff Garafola. Lieutenant Hutto had served with Baton Rouge Police Department for 21 years and had served in law enforcement for 24 years.
Corrections Officer 5, James D. Coleman, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Texas. End of watch, Tuesday, April 28, 2020. Corrections Officer 5, James Coleman, died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty at the Middleton Unit in Abilene, Texas. Officer Coleman had served with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 20 years. He is survived by his wife and one child. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19. Age 53, 20-year tour.
Detective Sergeant Randall C. French, Troy Police Department, New York. End of watch, Thursday, April 30th, 2020. Randall C. French. Detective Sergeant Randy French died after contracting COVID-19 while on duty. Detective Sergeant French had served with the Troy Police Department for 17 years and was assigned to the Special Operations Section. He is survived by his wife, 2 daughters, father, and sister. In early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other first responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19. Sergeant French was 39 years old, tour of duty was 17 years, badge number 601.
Attention Deputy Timothy De La Fuente, Bexar County Sheriff's Office, Texas. End of watch Thursday, April 30th, 2020. Attention Deputy Timothy De La Fuente died after contracting COVID-19 during an outbreak of the illness at the Bexar County Adult Detention Center Annex, where he was assigned. Deputy De La Fuente had served with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office for over 27 years. He is survived by his wife. In the early 2020, thousands of law enforcement officers and other responders throughout the country contracted COVID-19 during the worldwide pandemic due to requirements of their job. Many of these first responders died as a result of COVID-19. His age was 53, his tour was 27 years,